The air was heavy with the smell of fresh paint and engine oil. In the harsh glare of the showroom lights, the chrome of shiny new Mercedes trucks sparkled like mirrors. Men and women in tailored suits and high heels mingled uneasily, laughing up until the moment the glass doors creaked open. Enter an old man. His beard was white and long, his cap frayed at the brim, and his faded shirt bore the marks of a life spent traveling. Each crease in his face was a testament to the stories he could tell, and every step he took seemed to bear the load of 1,000 miles. He was out of place, like a tired traveler in a world of luxury and light. But what none of those people in that room realized was that this moment, this one meeting, would alter everything. The figure crossed the room slowly, scuffling at the floor in worn boots. A frayed backpack bounced over one shoulder. Mechanics looked up briefly, muttering between themselves. At the reception counter, 3 women exchanged inquiring glances. At the forefront was Miranda Hale, the silver-haired showroom manager, poised, self-assured, and unimpressed. She arched an eyebrow as the old man's gaze traveled around the room, coming to rest at last in front of the biggest white truck on the lot. He rested his gnarled, calloused hand on the chilled chrome grille, as if welcoming a familiar friend. Then, in a gravelly tone that echoed through the room, he spoke softly. "She's a beauty." A moment later, he looked up and added, calmly, clearly, "I'll take 5 of these." For a second, silence. Then came the laughter. Julia, the youngest employee, tried to stifle her giggle. The others didn't bother to hide theirs. Miranda smirked and said, "Sir, these aren't bicycles. Each one costs more than most people make in a lifetime." But the old man didn't flinch. His voice stayed calm. "I know," he said, "and I'll take 5. Before we go on, if you think kindness, second chances and stories that teach us not to judge so fast are important, kindly like, share, and subscribe to Real Kindness Stories. Your support allows us to share more heart-tugging true stories. Back at the showroom, the laughter gave way to uncomfortable silence. Something in the quiet confidence of the man unsettled Miranda. No arrogance shone in his eye, no madness, only a steady sureness that didn't belong to a deluded person. "Sir," she said with caution, "you might be in the wrong place. There's a used car lot down the street." The old man gave a faint smile. "I'm in the right place," he replied, adjusting the strap of his backpack. Then, with a glint in his tired eyes, he added, "But maybe you're seeing the wrong man." He strolled away, filling himself a tiny paper cup of water from the corner machine. No one saw the movement of his hands, firm, practiced, powerful. They were not the hands of a vagrant. They were the hands of an engineer who had constructed engines, led convoys across combat zones, and bore the coffin of his sole son. His name was Harold Brinley, once an engineer, a soldier, and a husband. Life had taken nearly everything away from him. His wife, Clara, his beloved wife, had died in a hospital he couldn't afford. His trucking firm, the business he built himself, was devoured by corporate greed. In a single cruel year, Harold went from being a successful businessman to sleeping in his junked workshop, his backpack serving as a pillow. But quitting was never in his system. Harold had faith in the road. That long, open highway that could take a man anywhere, if only a man kept moving. For a span of 5 arduous years, Harold sacrificed every penny he earned. He fixed dented trucks on isolated roads, slept in vacant garages, and lived off of vending machine food. All the cents went towards a dream that nobody anymore believed in, a dream constructed not for gain, but for cause. He saw a transportation business owned by those society had forgotten. Single mothers, homeless people, veterans, individuals who lost everything but retained the desire to rebuild. He named it Second Route Logistics, and today was the day it would come into being. Miranda sighed again, going back to her work, attempting to get rid of the unease that had stayed with her after their meeting. But when she raised her eyes again, Harold was at the front desk, clutching a handful of documents. "Here's my purchase order," he stated coolly. Miranda blinked in shock. The documents were real, officially stamped, all fields filled in tidily, and signatures perfectly aligned. Julia moved in closer and read softly aloud, "Second Route Logistics, Incorporated." Miranda scowled. "Who signed off on this?" she asked, sounding incredulous. "Our finance department will have to—" Then she stopped dead, her gaze fixed on the bottom of the page. On the signature there, one she knew only too well. It was that of the regional head of Mercedes Commercial Partnerships himself, a man who only signed off on top corporate clients. Miranda's lips dried. How did you obtain this?" she breathed. Harold smiled weakly. "He was a student of mine once," he said softly. "When I used to teach mechanical logistics, I repaired his trucks before he had a business to manage." The room fell silent. The laughter from earlier now felt heavy, almost shameful. Julia's face turned red as she looked down, unable to meet his eyes. Serena, the third woman, stepped forward hesitantly. "Mr. Brinley, I'm so sorry for—" But Harold raised a hand gently. "No need," he said kindly. "You were only doing what the world teaches us, to see with our eyes, not with our hearts." The following hour was a blur. Papers were verified, calls were placed, and all details proved true. Harold Brinley was no delusional vagabond. He was a man of his word. His payment had already been transferred in full. He wasn't purchasing 5 trucks to boast about. He was purchasing them to rebuild lives. With the sun of the afternoon setting low, the showroom was silent. Harold stood by the delivery bay, observing his trucks being readied for shipping. Miranda approached him, her tone quieter now. "You know," she said, "I judged you the moment you came in. I noticed your attire, your hands, your battered backpack, and I figured you were just another man pursuing a dream too large for the real world." Harold smiled, his eyes mirroring the warm glow of the setting sun. "Dreams don't get smaller just because people quit believing," he explained. "They just wait for the right hands to build them again." He gestured toward the shiny trucks, arrayed like sentinels of hope. "These machines will feed families," he whispered. "They'll carry hope from town to town, and that's worth more than pride, don't you think?" For the first time in years, Miranda's face relaxed. "It is," she breathed. The next morning, when dawn was breaking, 5 shiny new Mercedes trucks came out of the dealership, each operated by a man or woman who, 7 days before, had been sleeping on a shelter bunk. The whole town stopped to watch Second Route Logistics draw its first breath. News traveled quickly about the old gentleman who strolled into a high-end truck lot, was laughed at, and left with 5 trucks, not to create wealth, but to reconstruct lives. The following week, the showroom found a handwritten letter in the mail. It stated, "Thank you for the laughter. It reminded me how far I've come. Maybe kindness doesn't begin with believing in others, but in allowing them the opportunity to show you otherwise. If this story moved your heart, take a minute to like, share, and subscribe to Real Kindness Stories, where real stories remind us that kindness still has the ability to transform the world. And before you leave, let us know in the comments. If you had been in Miranda's shoes that day, would you have laughed also, or listened a little more intently? Because sometimes the most extraordinary souls walk in wearing torn clothes and leave behind lessons that shine brighter than chrome.